Hi, this is Dr. Perry Carpenter. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join me for this week's discussion. On this week's discussion, we're talking about the new medical legal fee schedule. And at the time of this recording, we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of the April 1st, 2021 adoption of the new medical legal fee schedule. And I can remember as if it was yesterday, the time period leading up to April 1st, 2021. We had this period of time approaching the projected effective date of the new medical legal fee schedule, where we tried to anticipate all of the situations, circumstances, and scenarios that the new medical legal fee schedule would usher into the medical legal evaluation. And we did the very best that we could at the time to project forward and to try to anticipate how the restructuring of the payment fee schedule for us as qualified medical evaluators would affect our face-to-face evaluations, would affect our report writing process, and would really how it would affect the totality of the evaluations as we had come to know them under the former and older medical legal fee schedule. Well, then came the period of time after the adoption of the medical legal fee schedule where we began to see in actuality how the new medical legal fee schedule was going to play out in real time, and how it would create new situations, new scenarios, and new circumstances for us as qualified medical evaluators, as each of the parties, meaning the claims administrators and on the one hand and the qualified medical evaluators on the other hand, exercise their new incentives under the new medical legal fee schedule to contort the evaluation in their favor along the lines of their incentive. And that was normal to see these incentives play them out as we began to live and use the new medical legal fee schedule. Well, over time, and bringing us to the current point in time, almost 12 months after the adoption of the new medical legal fee schedule, we still have yet to see the full impact of this new system, because constantly and daily it seems new situations, new usages, new permutations, and new interpretations of the new medical legal fee schedule continue to unfold in front of our eyes and continue to drop on our desks in front of us to continue to confound us with new twists, new angles, new insights, and new manipulations of the new medical legal fee schedule. So the purpose of today's discussion is to share with you what we know about the new medical legal fee schedule up to this point in time as we approach the 1-year anniversary of it, and to share with you some ideas as to what you can expect from the other side, from the parties and from the players, as they continue to hypertrophy, as they continue to develop and grow their incentive under the new medical legal fee schedule. So I want to share with you some of the twists and curveballs and surprises that you can expect from the other side. And then also I want to share with you some new insights as to how you as the qualified medical evaluator can use the new medical legal fee schedule along your line of incentive and to your advantage, so that you can maximize your profitability under what seems to be a tightly constrained new and flat rate fee schedule and billing system. So I have a fascinating discussion for you today, one that brings with it and brings to the table the experience of over 250 evaluations conducted, completed, and billed and reimbursed under the new medical legal fee schedule. So I'm sharing with you some insights that you can get nowhere else. And so I hope you take some notes during today's presentation, and as always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can feel free to give me a call at any time. So with that as our introduction, let's begin today's discussion regarding the tips and tricks and insider secrets of the new medical legal fee schedule. Okay, so to begin, I want to give you a little bit of perspective about the history of the development and the adoption of the new medical legal fee schedule. And the new medical legal fee schedule has its roots and its origins back about 5 years ago, when we were experiencing in 2017 what came to be referred to as the underground regulations. Now, if you were around at this time, you remember that there were a large group of qualified medical evaluators who were undergoing discipline by the Division of Workers' Compensation for allegations of overbilling and misuse of the former medical legal fee schedule, the medical legal fee schedule that contained all of the complexity factors, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. Well, it was discovered that qualified medical evaluators were gaming, and that's the term that's being used in the system. We're gaming the medical legal fee schedule, and we're gaming the complexity factors to escalate the billing cost of their reports, which otherwise, absent the gaming, the billing reports did not actually rise to the high complexity levels and to the high dollar value levels that qualified medical evaluators were charging for their reports. So this created a reaction down at the Division of Workers' Compensation, and the DWC created what were referred to as the underground regulations, which stiffened and momentarily tightened scrutiny on the former medical legal fee schedule and started to initiate the understanding of a need for a new medical legal fee schedule, which had the potential, at least the potential, to eliminate the gaming that some qualified medical evaluators were employing to escalate the billing charges for their reports. Well, shortly thereafter, in both 2018 and 2019, several research organizations in California workers' compensation, the WCIRB and the CWCI, both almost simultaneously put out some research reports that discovered that the number of qualified medical evaluators in the state of California was gradually dwindling and diminishing, and the backlog of cases requiring medical legal evaluations was starting to thicken and fatten. And so these opposing forces came to the attention of stakeholders in the industry who recognized that there was a problem with, first of all, qualified medical evaluators getting disciplined and losing their ability to perform qualified medical evaluations. And then simultaneously, and in addition to those losses, additional losses were being discovered simply as a result of qualified medical evaluators leaving the system due to various reasons, one of which was a concern for underpayment. So there was all these payment issues brewing on the back burner throughout 2017, 18, and 19. Well, in late 2019, then came out the state auditor's report, and the state auditor conducted an investigation into the principles and practices and procedures of the DWC, and the state auditor confirmed that actually the number of qualified medical evaluators were indeed dwindling, which was creating a problem and a backlog in the need for qualified medical evaluations, causing tremendous delay in the resolution of claims and causing delay in injured workers' receipt of desperately needed workers' compensation benefits. Well, the state auditor concluded that part of the reason, not the total reason, but part of the reason for the dwindling supply of qualified medical evaluators was that the existing medical legal fee schedule at the time was grossly outdated. And compared to cost of living increases, the old medical legal fee schedule was paying qualified medical evaluators approximately 30% lowered wages than what the standard of living would have been at the time in 2019. So the state auditor recommended some type of revision of the system that at its very least, would provide a pay raise for us as qualified medical evaluators approximately 30%, just to bring us up to the cost of living increases from the date of time of the initiation of the former medical legal fee schedule up until the new fee schedule. She recommended a 30% pay increase to account for cost of living adjustments over that time period. So with this new information, parties began to consider what is a better way to pay qualified medical evaluators commensurate with the times. What is an adequate wage, and how should we restructure the system in order to eliminate gaming, first of all, and then second of all, to pay qualified medical evaluators a reasonable and equitable wage for the work that they perform. So that led to the Medical Legal Fee Schedule Committee, and those committee meetings started meeting in 2020 and late 2020 and very early 2021, wherein the new medical legal fee schedule was proposed. And I can tell you that there were 4 medical legal fee schedule committee meetings, and I was present at the last 2 of the 4 committee meetings. So by the time I got to meetings 3 and 4, much of the groundwork and foundation for the new medical legal fee schedule had already been established, and parties on all sides of the issue started to flex their muscles and demand their way and screamed and kicked and cried in order to get their way, to have their say over the new medical legal fee schedule. So by the time I got there, much of this was already established, except for ironing out some of the fine points. So I can share with you all of what went down in the medical legal fee schedule committee meetings and all of the politicking and leveraging and strong arming that took place there. And I can speak about the new medical legal fee schedule with authority because I was present at those meetings. Well, then the new medical legal fee schedule became proposed, and we approached the April 2021 adoption of the new medical legal fee schedule, and we started to try to anticipate how it is that the new medical legal fee schedule is going to impact the evaluation. And we started to realize that everything about the evaluation that we'd come to understand at the time had to change, was going to change, would change out of necessity and driven by incentive. Everything would be different. Well, time has now passed, and that brings us up into 2022, and we've now seen hundreds and hundreds, just in our office, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of evaluations under the new medical legal fee schedule, and it's completely different from the old medical legal fee schedule, and everything about our evaluations has changed. So I want to share with you in today's discussion how these changes affect your face-to-face evaluation and your report writing process. And I want to share with you some ideas as to how you can use these changes, how you can leverage these changes, how you can benefit and profit from these changes moving forward in your career as a qualified medical evaluator. So let's take a look at the new medical legal fee schedule very briefly, so that we have a foundation for our continuing discussion on this. So here is the new medical legal fee schedule, and let's go over this very quickly. Over here in the left-hand column, we have all of our new billing codes. ML stands for Medical Legal Codes. And then here in this column, we have all of the procedures that are described underneath each of those codes. And then in the third column, we have both the reimbursement rate and also the time allocation that should reasonably be devoted to each of these specific procedures. So the ML102 is a new code. This is a new code that provides for missed appointment charges for us as qualified medical evaluators. For the first time ever, we now get a mandatory, by law, reimbursement for an appointment when that appointment is canceled within 6 business days of the appointment date, or at any time during the evaluation when the evaluation itself can't go forward, such as in the circumstance where an interpreter does not show for the appointment. And those aren't the only circumstances, but those give you some examples. So this covers an appointment that cannot be carried forward. And this provides for $503.75. And this is the first time that we have a reimbursement or any consideration at all for a missed appointment. And in my opinion, this is a good thing, and it's proving to be a good thing, and it's been a very good thing. Now, our basic brand new patient or new examinee medical legal evaluation, that's described under code ML201. This includes a basic medical legal exam with up to 200 pages of medical records. So you can expect to see many, many, many exams with 200 or fewer pages of medical records, because the parties have an incentive to keep the page count below 200 pages. Beyond 200 pages, as you know, we get $3 per page of record reviewed. So this creates an incentive for the parties to eliminate that billing by keeping the medical records to below 200 pages. So don't be surprised when you get this type of an exam, and don't be confused, confounded, or upset that your medical records come to you at 199 pages or even 200 pages. That is the incentive of the parties, and you can't blame them for that. For that, we receive $2,015. This pays the Qualified Medical Evaluator the hourly rate of $325 per hour when the Qualified Medical Evaluator can complete the entirety of the evaluation in 6 hours and 12 minutes. Now, you can see that if your evaluation takes longer than 6 hours and 12 minutes, your hourly rate will diminish from that which is projected for us by the Division of Workers' Compensation. So that creates the goal for you and the incentive for you to complete your evaluation in the time frame specified by the Division of Workers' Compensation. Okay, next we have the ML202, which is the reevaluation. Again, the reevaluation includes up to 200 pages of medical records. This reimburses us $13.16.25, which, if you do the math, this provides for an allocated time increment of approximately 4 hours. And the reason 4 hours is less than 6 hours is because it's assumed that by the time you're doing a reevaluation, you already know the history, you already have the demographics, you've already done the initial groundwork of setting this evaluation up in your system, and then the reevaluation can simply pick up from where you left off. So there's a 2 hour less time allocation for a reevaluation compared to an initial evaluation. ML203 is the supplemental report. Supplemental report pays $650 and has a time budget of 2 hours built into it. This includes up to 50 pages of review of records. Don't be surprised when your supplemental report requests contain 49 pages or even 50 pages, because it's the incentive of the parties to keep those pages to a minimum to prevent the billing rate to exceed $650. New for this fee schedule is the ML204 billing code. The ML204 billing code describes our fees for medical legal testimony, specifically for depositions, and this provides an increased hourly rate for qualified medical evaluators of $455 per hour with a 2 hour minimum. So this creates a minimum deposition fee of $910. So this represents a pay raise for us as well under the new medical legal fee schedule. Finally, although this one doesn't happen a lot, is the ML205. This is a billing code that allows us for the second time now. For the second time, the first time here is related to depositions. This is the second time that we get to bill by the hour. This is our only two time-based billing codes, is the ML204 and the ML205. And the sub rosa videotaping allows us to bill $325 per hour. And this is indicative and suggestive that the predicted and projected hourly rate for us as qualified medical evaluators is $325 per hour. So in doing all of your calculations about your profitability as a qualified medical evaluator, you should use this base fee, $325 per hour, as your expected hourly rate. Now, under the new medical legal fee schedule, the areas where qualified medical evaluators are excited are the areas where it feels like the new medical legal fee schedule is better than the old medical legal fee schedule. So qualified medical evaluators universally agree that the missed appointment fee creates a better situation for us than a $0 fee or a $200 courtesy fee that we used to maybe sometimes get under the old medical legal fee schedule. Now, the missed appointment fee of $503.75, I think it is, does not, in my opinion, compensate for the opportunity cost lost or the lost opportunity cost of a missed appointment. Because if you're anything like me, by the time you learn that the appointment is not going to keep, you've already invested considerable administrative time and preparation time, and you've rescheduled, you've situated your schedule accordingly. And a missed appointment of $503 may or may not compensate for the lost opportunity cost, but the $503 is more than zero that we used to get under the old medical legal fee schedule. So it's better than a stick in the eye, and it somewhat softens the blow. You still have to bill for it. It doesn't come to you automatically, so there's added costs even involved in the billing for a missed appointment fee. But it's something, and it represents an improvement over the former goose egg, the former zero that we used to get for a missed appointment. So that's better. Medical legal testimony is way, way better. Under the old medical legal fee schedule, we receive $250 per hour. The new medical legal fee schedule provides for $455 per hour with a 2-hour minimum. So that's $910 minimum for a deposition. And this is enough for many qualified medical evaluators to start to learn to look forward to and to start to prepare better for and to seek to become better at doing depositions, because the fee for deposition testimony is quite handsome. I only wish that I had 10 depositions a month and that they all went twice as long as they do. There would be no need to do the actual evaluations themselves if you could have a schedule full of depositions on your calendar. Review of sub rosa videotaping is better because it provides for $325 per hour in addition to the fee for writing the supplemental report. If you're asked to review sub rosa videotaping and issue a supplemental report, you get not only the fee for the supplemental report, but you also get the time involved in reviewing the sub rosa videotaping as a separate billable item. Unlike the medical records, which supplemental reports include up to 50 pages of medical records, you don't get to bill extra for that review of those particular items, the paper items of medical records. But for videotaping review of images and scenes, you do get to bill an extra $325 per hour in addition to the supplemental report fee. So that represents a significant improvement as well. Now, where qualified medical evaluators are divided and equivocal are on the initial evaluation. Some say that the flat rate fee of $2,015 is better than what they were accustomed to under the old medical legal fee schedule, and there's an equal population of qualified medical evaluators who say that it's worse. It's worse. This represents a pay cut. So doctors are divided as to whether the new initial evaluation fee represents a pay raise or a pay cut. And the same thing goes with regards to the follow-up evaluation, and the same thing goes with regards to the supplemental report. You know, with a supplemental report now, now under the new medical legal fee schedule, your time is capped at 2 hours. It's capped at 2 hours. And I've done many, many supplemental reports in the last 11 to 12 months, and I can tell you that getting a supplemental report done in 2 hours is a push, is a rush, is a sprint. It can be done. In some cases, it cannot be done. In some cases, it can be done with some time to spare. But in general, 2 hours seems to be about the limit for a supplemental report. And in order to get a supplemental report done in 2 hours, you have to be very, very good, very, very focused, very, very targeted, very experienced, so that you can get to the resolution of the dispute very, very quickly, get it printed, get it billed, get it out, and get it done in this narrow fixed time frame window of only 2 hours. So whether you find the new medical legal fee schedule to be better or to be worse for these particular service levels, it's important for you to know that this medical legal fee schedule is not going to change for any time soon, anytime in the foreseeable future. So as you work in and under the new medical legal fee schedule, the important principle is to control the time, control your time and your investment of time into the evaluation, because all of these fees are fixed fees. They're fixed and flat rate fees. So let's take a look at some of the time allocations that the Division of Workers' Compensation projects each one of these service levels will entail. So let's just take a look at the ML201, the initial comprehensive medical legal evaluation. For this level of evaluation, up to 200 pages of medical records, the Division of Workers' Compensation projects that the review of records should take you approximately 2 hours. Now, it may take a little bit more, may take a little bit less, but this is a basic estimate for calculation purposes that the division has used and that you can use in planning your time as well. So when you think about the review of records, mechanically, the review of records involves sorting and collating the records, putting those records in date order, eliminating any duplicates and fax cover sheets and all of that. And then reviewing the medical records and summarizing the medical records within the body of your QME report. They estimate that this should take about 2 hours for up to 200 pages of medical records. Okay, so if you do the math, the Division of Workers' Compensation projects that you can review and comment on 100 pages of medical records per hour of time devoted to that. So in order to accomplish that, you have to get very, very good at your review of records. Now, similarly, with regards to the face-to-face evaluation, the Division of Workers' Compensation projects that this would take you approximately 2 hours at the face-to-face evaluation, wherein you obtain the necessary history from the examinee and complete your physical examination of the examinee, all within about 2 hours. And then finally, the division projects that it should take you about 2 hours of time to assemble and synthesize the data within your report, and to complete the report and get that report signed and ready for mailing should take approximately 2 hours, with the total accumulated time of 6 hours projected for the ML201 basic medical legal evaluation. Now, also simultaneously and going on behind the scenes, with regards to every aspect of the evaluation, in addition to the doctor's time, is background administrative time. It's the administrative office that sets up the review of records, because without administration to create the appointment, to create the intake, to intake the appointment, to create the appointment, to schedule the appointment, to confirm that the examinee arrives at the appointment, to confirm that the interpreter arrives at the appointment, without the background administration, there can be no review of records. Similarly, without background administration, there can be no face-to-face evaluation. Without the background administration simultaneously occurring with the doctor's duties, there can be no need for putting out a finished product QME report. So in addition to the doctor's 6 hours of time allocated to the ML201, the fee for which we receive, or the fee for which we are reimbursed for the ML201, also has to cover all of the administrative costs underlying the evaluation. So you have your two components of costs. You have your doctor's costs and you have your administrative costs, all of which is assumed within the ML201, for which the Division of Workers' Compensation projects you should be involved for no more than roughly 6 hours. So let's take a look at what the fee for which we receive our reimbursement under this code, the $2,015 fee. Let's see exactly some of the elements that fee covers. Let's see some of the labors and persons that fee has to compensate. Okay, so let's take a look at this. What does the fee, what does the $2,015 pay for? Remember, this is a fixed rate fee. Doesn't matter how much time you spend on the evaluation. Doesn't matter how much administrative time you spend setting up the evaluation, completing the evaluation, conducting the evaluation. The fee is a fixed rate fee. So let's take a look at some of the cycles of action that the fee compensates. Well, it compensates for all of the admin, and I've just elaborated here for you some of the administrative cycles of action that are involved with each and every QME evaluation. The admin has to take in the call and complete paperwork associated with the call. Admin has to contact the claims administrator and confirm authorization for the appointment and confirm payment for the appointment. The admin has to contact the satellite office location if you use one. Admin has to prepare the appointment notification form for all parties, has to complete the DEU 100, has to create an appointment letter to the examinee, has to create a MapQuest map for the examinee, has to create a new examinee package with forms, intake questionnaires, symptom questionnaires, history questionnaires, address it and mail it to the examinee. And this is not a complete list, but this just goes to show you some of the several cycles of action just in getting the examinee to a compensable face-to-face evaluation. And I put emphasis on the term compensable because absent this painstaking administrative process, many examinees and many qualified medical evaluators show up to face-to-face evaluations that later turn out to be non-compensable because one or more of these procedures were neglected and or dropped off. So the fee pays for all the admin. And without going into great detail, the fee also pays for all of the evaluation costs. If you have a satellite office location, it pays for the rent of that location, pays for the doctor to travel to that location, pays for the doctor to conduct the evaluation, pays for the doctor to have any ancillary or support staff at the evaluation. And so all of the evaluation costs are included in there, all of the report writing costs, all of the report submission costs, which I estimate that the printing, copy machine, postage, travel, cost to and from the post office could be as much as $18 for a 30-page report being sent to 4 copies. So all of these costs, including the 6 hours of doctor's time, are covered in the $2,015. Now, are there any surprise costs not covered here that you may not have considered that has to be compensated for out of the $2,015? Let's take a look at some surprise costs you may not have considered. Now, what you may not have considered, in addition to all the admin costs, the evaluation costs, the report writing costs, and the report submission costs, you may not have anticipated that industry-wide and across all specialties, there's a 35 to 40% appointment change, reschedule, postpone, cancel, etc. rate. And this is across all specialties and across all regions of the state. So what that means is, using 35%, the low estimate, the low value in the range, to estimate some of our projections, what that means is, out of 10 scheduled appointments, only 6.5 appointments out of 10 scheduled are kept appointments. So we're actually, in order to keep 6.5 appointments, we have to schedule 10 appointments. The scheduling of the 10 appointments has some cost associated with those appointments, especially if the doctor attends the evaluation and books time out of his or her schedule to attend the evaluation. That has some costs, and certainly even on the administrative side, scheduling 10 appointments has administrative costs. And so, unfortunately, in order to keep 6.5 appointments across the industry, we have to schedule 10 appointments. And the reason there's a 35 to 40% cancellation or changed appointment rate is because the moment that you schedule an appointment for a qualified medical evaluation, that begins the point in time at which the parties begin to entertain negotiations for settlement of the very case for which you were just hired to do the qualified medical evaluation. And by the time your evaluation comes to approach the day of the scheduled evaluation, the parties have many times already resolved that case and settled that case, in which case there is no need for you as the qualified medical evaluator. So of the 6.5 appointments that are kept out of 10 scheduled appointments, if we multiply that times our flat rate fee of $2,015, that tells us that we're getting $13,097 of revenue from 6.5 kept appointments. But remember, in order to get 6.5 kept appointments, we have to schedule 10 appointments. So in actuality, another way to look at it is, we're getting $13,097 for 10 appointments scheduled. Well, that gives a per appointment scheduled fee of $1,397.50. In other words, we don't get $2,015 for each appointment scheduled. We only get $2,015 for each appointment that's kept. So in terms of per appointment scheduled, we're getting $1,300.97. And from here, from this point, from this number, this is your operating number. From here, you subtract your expenses from here. You subtract your travel cost, your gas cost, your secretarial costs, your transcription costs, your postage costs, your rent costs if you use a satellite office certificate. So from this number, all of your expenses are subtracted from here. So you can see that this leaves a very, very low margin here of actual profitable dollars left for you as the qualified medical evaluator. So what is the solution for you under this new flat rate fee schedule system as a qualified medical evaluator? Well, I want to tell you a story to help illustrate this principle. And the story has to do with a time when I was considering hiring a landscaping service to maintain the property around my house. And I have a front lawn, a back lawn, I have many, many bushes, I have some driveways, and it all needs to be kept clean, it all needs to be kept maintained, and it all needs to be kept in perfect order. So the supervisor of the landscaping company came out, gave me a consultation, looked around my property, established the needs for my weekly service, and told me what the price would be for my weekly service. And he told me that my weekly service would begin 1 week from today, from the day of the consultation. Well, I waited in eager anticipation for that day to come, and on the appointed day, date, and time, sure enough, in my driveway comes not one, but 2 pickup trucks. And out from 2 pickup trucks jumped 4 workers. 4 workers. And 2 workers each grabbed a lawnmower. 2 workers grabbed other equipment such as trimmers and blowers and cutters and rakes, etc. And between these 4 workers, in no time at all, and I'm telling you, it was no more than approximately 10 to 12 minutes, these 4 workers had my property immaculate, and they were gone. And they were gone in no time at all. So they came, they whipped it out, they knocked it out in no time at all flat, and they were gone. And so for the landscape company, time was their solution to profitability. Well, similarly for us as qualified medical evaluators, under a flat rate fee schedule, flat rate with a fixed no-show, cancel, reschedule, postpone appointment rate fee, certainly time is our only solution in remaining profitable under this new medical legal fee schedule. So let me share some ideas with you is how you can leverage time to maximize your profitability. So for you as a qualified medical evaluator, in order to enhance your profitability under the flat rate fee schedule, it's important that you have efficiency procedures, efficiency systems, and templated systems and templated procedures and actual templates installed into your evaluation process. So areas where you need efficiency systems and templates include the entire admin area of the evaluation. In the evaluation process, where you as the doctor actually attend the evaluation, this face-to-face evaluation needs to be supremely and perfectly systematized, focused, and orchestrated in order for you to complete the evaluation in a time-efficient and profitable manner. And finally, your report writing process similarly has to be governed and run by templated, time-efficient systems such that you can quickly and accurately resolve the disputed issue within the body of your report and get that report out into the mail in the shortest time possible, just like the landscaping company that completed my weekly landscaping in the shortest time possible. And trust me when I tell you that they had efficiency systems that they were trained on, that they were instructed to employ, and that they had perfected. And they were done in my property in no time at all, and they were on to the next. And I can tell you, the landscaping company runs like a well-oiled machine. And that's how your qualified medical evaluation should run similarly, like a well-oiled machine with efficiency systems installed into every aspect of the evaluation. So let's take a look at a couple of specific examples where efficiency systems and templates can help you maximize your profitability. Now, in every evaluation that you are assigned to and that you complete in its entirety, there are going to be profitability sappers upon which you have no control. These are forces beyond your control that no matter how hard you may try, these are some forces that conspire to drive down your profitability. So if that's true, if you accept that notion that there are these factors and forces outside of our control, it thus becomes exceedingly important and supremely important that the factors that are under your control, that you take iron fist control over in order to maximize your profitability. So some of the factors that you cannot control, despite all your best efforts, has to do with, for example, appointments that cancel because fill in the blank, whatever reason, the case is settled, the examinee is not in the country, they want to reschedule the appointments so that they can obtain a deposition, fill in the blank, whatever the reason. Many appointments cancel, they reschedule, they postpone. Even if they're postponed or rescheduled, that requires additional administrative costs to go through the entire cycle of re-notifying the parties, recreating new paperwork with the correct date and time. And these things happen, and there's nothing that we can do about those. These are costs that we have to absorb. Similarly, when you get intake information and you get the examinees or one or more of the parties' wrong address, incorrect demographic information, wrong spellings, wrong social security number, wrong claims adjuster, wrong applicant attorney, wrong defense attorney. In other words, when you have to correct the demographic information, which many times comes to us incomplete, there's nothing that we can do about it. This is simply a cycle of action that has to be undertaken in order to properly move the evaluation forward and ensure the compensability of the evaluation. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the examinee will no-show, the interpreter will no-show, they'll be late. They'll be late and they will cost you as the evaluator additional time that you had not included in your projection for the evaluation. And sometimes there's nothing that can be done about these circumstances. I had a circumstance about 3 weeks ago where the interpreter was 30 minutes late. The interpreter was 30 minutes late. We were able to retrieve the interpreter. We were able to salvage the evaluation, but the interpreter was 30 minutes late, thus costing the doctor precious time and lost opportunity in that evaluation. Sometimes the examinee, despite what they will promise you, they'll promise you to bring their paperwork completed to the evaluation, and yet on the day of the evaluation, the examinee shows up and the paperwork is not completed, and the examinee forces the completion of the paperwork on your time versus on their time at home, thus again cutting into your time allocation for the evaluation. So these are factors that you cannot control, and thus it's essential that the factors that you can control, that you take iron fist control over those in order to offset those erosive forces to your profitability. So you can develop a strong scheduling procedure wherein when you take in a new QME appointment, you assure that that is a solid compensable appointment, that all parties, meaning the applicant attorney, the defense attorney, and especially the claims payer, agree that this is a compensable appointment and that they have no objection to the appointment moving forward. Because I can't tell you how many times I hear from qualified medical evaluators, they tell me they're not getting paid, and I can trace that failure of payment back to a poor scheduling procedure where they scheduled an appointment that was not a compensable appointment to begin with. So scheduling procedure is critical. Number two, you can develop a strong confirmation procedure where you confirm all aspects of the evaluation, where you confirm that the examinee will attend the appointment. You confirm that the examinee will present 15 minutes before the evaluation with the paperwork completed. You confirm with the examinee that they will wear appropriate clothing to the evaluation. You confirm the interpreter. You confirm the satellite office location, and you confirm, and leave nothing to chance, such that the chance of arriving at the evaluation and having the evaluation proceed unencumbered percentage-wise increases. That increase is a function of a strong confirmation procedure. At the face-to-face evaluation, you show to the face-to-face evaluation with an efficient evaluation procedure where you're focused on the issue in dispute and nothing else. Focus entirely and exclusively on the issue in dispute. Resolve the disputed issues. doing the necessary physical examination procedures and omitting any physical examination procedures that are unnecessary, and get in and out of that evaluation in the shortest time possible. Similarly, a strong and efficient billing procedure such that the billings get to the appropriate party or parties. Sometimes it's parties, where not only the claims administrator gets a copy of the billing, but also the bill review company gets their own separate and distinct copy of the billing. And so strong billing procedures will allow that evaluation to be reimbursed in the shortest time possible, thus maximizing your profitability. And now the new wave of profitability is the electronic service of the report, which, as I mentioned earlier, can save up to approximately $20 per evaluation in just hard costs, just hard postage, printing, ink, and travel costs to and from the post office. So these are some procedures that you can control and for which you should take iron fist control to help mitigate or offset some of the negative forces that conspire to drive down your profitability. These are factors that you can control that will equalize or perhaps even increase the profitability of each and every evaluation. So as the Qualified Medical Evaluator and as the administrator of your QME business, you can establish a profitability algorithm where you take a look at each and every aspect of the evaluation process, from the admin to the face-to-face evaluation, to the report writing aspect of the evaluation, to the report submission of that report to all the parties, and take a look wherein lie the profitability principles in each of these phases of the face-to-face evaluation, each of which bring profitability to the table, but each of which also have their associated costs to them. So by breaking apart the cycles of action in each one of these aspects of the evaluation, you can determine wherein lies your profitability nuggets. Now, we don't have time to discuss each and every one of these aspects in today's discussion, so let's just take a look at one of these. Let's take a look at the face-to-face evaluation and see wherein the profitability algorithm within the face-to-face evaluation, let's see where the profitability nuggets for you as the Qualified Medical Evaluator are to be found. Okay, so let's take a look at the profitability strategies for the face-to-face evaluation. Okay, so we talked about the profitability algorithm and that each aspect of the evaluation, from the admin, from the face-to-face interview, to the physical examination, to the report writing, to the report submission process, all of those steps involved in every evaluation has a profitability algorithm contained within it. And you should seek the profitability nuggets in each one of those cycles of action. And I shared with you some ideas as to how to seek those nuggets in the face-to-face evaluation. Well, let me give you a couple of general principles before we conclude today's evaluation. And these are some ideas that you can put to work in your very next evaluation that will enhance the profitability of your evaluations. And that is, number one, establish a firm intake procedure for each appointment phone call that you take in. Now remember that a request for an appointment, meaning when the phone rings and some party on the other end of the phone is asking you for a QME appointment for either their client or their claimant, that a request for an appointment is not the same as a compensable, reimbursable, unobjected appointment. So you need to develop a procedure when you get that phone call to confirm that that appointment is indeed a compensable appointment. The opposite of a compensable appointment is a non-compensable appointment. And if you take in non-compensable appointments, let me tell you, your hourly rate is going to dip much, much below those projections that I provided for you several slides ago. So it's the firm intake procedure that confirms that the appointment is compensable and that therefore your hourly rate and your compensation is maintained and or enhanced or augmented. Now, with regards to evaluation preparedness, this is a new recommendation, and I can't tell you how difficult this one has been for me to finally adopt, because this goes against my intuition as a qualified medical evaluator. What I'm suggesting to you is that you look at each appointment and you look at the time period between the time period before the scheduled appointment, and look at that 6-day time frame before the scheduled date of the appointment as your preparation phase. Remember that you get a missed appointment fee when the appointment is changed less than 6 days prior to the scheduled date of the appointment. So if you're like me, I like to prepare these evaluations as soon as possible. As soon as I get the information, such as the records and the cover letters, I begin work on these evaluations. But I can't tell you how many of these evaluations I've invested time, invested effort, invested energy, invested preparedness, only to have the evaluation cancel more than 6 days prior to the scheduled date of the appointment. So I'm suggesting that you don't do any work, no work on the appointment until the 6-day time period prior to the date of the scheduled appointment. That way, if the appointment does change, does postpone, does reschedule, you haven't lost any of your valuable time and or resources. This is a new recommendation as well. Don't accept bulky, cumbersome, or work-laden medical records. And this is a new recommendation, and it stems from an occurrence that happened just this week. Imagine this. We scheduled a reevaluation for an examinee who we had seen approximately 9 months to a year ago. And at that time, the claims administrator submitted to us the medical records on a CD disk. And the CD disk was password protected. And the CD disk contained all of the medical records in a zip file, a compressed .zip zip file. Well, at that time, the instructions for the opening the medical records included an instruction for us to download a free copy of WinZip, which is a program that's available for free on a trial basis as a free download. So we downloaded the free WinZip program. We were able to open the medical records and use the medical records. Okay, so 9 months passes, in comes a new CD, password protected, as a zip file, and our trial version, our 30-day trial version of the WinZip program has expired. And so therefore, in order to open the medical records, requires a $50 expenditure on a WinZip program. Zip files cannot just be extracted by Windows, okay? It has to have a WinZip program. So it requires a $50 investment. It requires the download time, setup time, learning time, staff learning time to learn how to operate this WinZip format. And then when we finally, after all this investment, get the medical records open, the medical records are present as single individual PDF files for each date of service, and there's about 100 of them, individual files. And I told my staff, no, we're not accepting these medical records. These medical records are going to quadruple our review of records time, and we're not paying for that. We're not paying for that. The claims administrator, they're going to send to us the medical records in a format that's easy for us, that's efficient for us, that's not bulky, and that's not cumbersome. Otherwise, we're simply going to refuse to review those medical records. And I suggest you do that as well. I suggest you insist on getting your medical records in the format that's most convenient for you, whatever that may be, and insist on no other submission method than the one that you prefer. If you are unable to get an attestation or a declaration, consider that a red flag. If you don't get a declaration and attestation, certainly for pages over 200, over 200 pages of medical records, you absolutely need to track down the declaration and attestation. Otherwise, you won't be able to bill for medical records beyond 200 pages. If your medical records do not rise to the level of 200 pages, it's still necessary for you to get a declaration and attestation to consider the appointment a compensable appointment, because it's the declaration, not the attestation, but it's the declaration that confirms that all of the proper procedures have gone through between the parties in sharing the medical records and in ensuring that none of the medical records are going to be objected to by any of the other parties. Because if there's no declaration, that opens up a red flag that the appointment could be objected to by the other party as some form of an ex parte type of communication or a failure to properly information share the medical records. So an absence of an attestation or a declaration is a potential red flag that could threaten the profitability of your evaluation. Finally, it's essential that in all of the aspects of the evaluation, from the admin to the face-to-face evaluation to the report writing process, that you declare war on second cycles of action. Every second cycle of action, of which there are innumerable, okay, let me tell you, there are innumerable potential second cycles of action. Every second cycle of action threatens and thwarts the profitability of your evaluation. You only make money on these evaluations when every single cycle is a successful cycle, when every cycle of action can be completed in one single cycle of action. So it's essential that you become a maverick and a bulldog on second cycles of action. Okay, doctors, so I hope these ideas help you. And before we conclude today's discussion, I want to share with you a story. Now, many of you that know me know that I'm a chiropractor. And when I was in full-time practice, I remember one particular patient that I had, and this goes back about 20 years ago. And this patient was a particularly difficult patient. She would come in and I would render my very best chiropractic treatment and give her the very best service of which I was capable. And she would thank me and she would pay the office fee for that appointment, but invariably, either later on that same day or the very next day, she would come back and she would claim that perhaps something wasn't just right, that perhaps something with the treatment wasn't perfect or wasn't complete. And she would typically say something to me like, I don't think that anything has come back out again, but I just want you to check it because it feels like it should be checked. So could you just check it? I don't think I need a treatment. And she wasn't asking for a treatment, but she was asking for a recheck. In other words, she was asking for a second touch. So on a business sense, this created two cycles of action for which I received one fee. So my fee for the service effectively became halved, one half. Now, I would much rather have received one half of my fee for the first cycle of action than having to receive half of my fee and create a second cycle of action. Can you see that this particular examinee reduced my profitability by 75%, leaving me only 1/4 of my actual fee, because my fee was spread across two services and my time was now spread not across one service but across also two services. So the same fee covered two services, two services, two cycles of action. And the same phenomenon can overwhelm you as a qualified medical evaluator if you don't take iron fist control over every single aspect of the evaluation. You know, the flat rate fee schedule billing system and our new medical legal fee schedule system has some good points to it. And those good points can be further accentuated as you become more efficient, more effective, and basically better at what it is that you do. as a qualified medical evaluator. The better and the quicker and the more accurately you can resolve disputed issues, the more you stand to profit and benefit from the new medical legal fee schedule, and the more that you can actually enjoy and appreciate the work that you do as a qualified medical evaluator. So doctors, I hope these ideas help you, and I hope that you take these ideas to heart as you begin with your next series of face-to-face evaluations. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on today's discussion. I want you to know that I appreciate you for your commitment to excellence and your dedication to serving California's injured workers. For now, this is Dr. Perry Carpenter wishing you best of success in your career as a qualified medical evaluator.